From Toyota to Mazda, Honda to Mitsubishi, we're covering every single new Japanese car coming out in 2024. We are also grabbing our favorite Japanese crystal balls and taking a peek into what new models are coming out as far as 2027 and beyond. Grab your bento boxes, snag your matcha tea, and buckle up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 4th annual Every New Japanese Car Coming Out in X Year video. It's going back to 2020 at this point. If you're new to the channel, my name's Kirk. I cover industry auto news. I do car reviews. I do first drives, all that good stuff. If you're into that, make sure to smash a like button. Make sure to subscribe because 2024 is going to have endless amounts of goodies from the Japanese automakers as well as the entire auto industry. Hit that subscribe button, jump on the fleet. Let's get to 300,000 in 2024. And before we get into the first manufacturer, if you only care about a specific manufacturer, let's say you're a Mitsubishi diehard, there are not many of you, but let's say you are, go ahead, check the time posts down below and you can seek and find exactly which manufacturer I will be hitting in this video. Honda had a burning hot 2023. Sales have pretty much completely rebounded across all their models, and we had an all-new Accord, seeing them more and more on the roads. Actually, I'm seeing quite a few as rental cars too. I like the rear end. Luckily, I'm seeing the rear end more than the front end because it is a very, it's not my cup of tea for the design, but Honda's able to produce over 50% of them now as a hybrid, and that is the way I would be going. I would not be touching the CVT and the turbocharged engine. Give me that 40 miles per gallon goodness and a smoother experience in the hybrid, and I'll be happy. Also, at the beginning of 2023, if we go way back, right, the new Pilot came out, watched my review on it, pretty much liked everything about it. The AC was weak on it, but that's about all I can say about it. It's a good family hauler. Passport and Ridgeline have gotten the smallest of refreshes right at the tail end of 2023. It's hard to even call them a refresh, but yeah, they're getting at least some attention here at the end of 2023. So let's get into 2024. Honda's starting it off at the end of January is the media drive for the Prologue, their first ever battery electric vehicle here in the United States, not counting, the Clarity EV, which had like 60 miles of range or whatever. That doesn't count. This is the first mass-produced EV. It is built at a General Motors plant. It's pretty much using Ultium and everything General Motors. Here's the benefit of going with the Prologue over something like the Blazer EV, is that the Prologue actually has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. I think that's going to sway a lot of people, as well as the design on the Prologue is stunning. I loved it when I saw it at the LA Auto Show last month. It is a gorgeous vehicle, and I think it will do well for Honda, as long as it's not too expensive. I don't think we have exact pricing quite yet, but the Blazer EV is really expensive. You might as well just get a Cadillac Lyriq at that point. All right, also in 2024, as a minivan lover, as a minivan owner, and a big family guy, the Odyssey is supposed to be getting some updates. What will those updates be? It's really hard to say. I'm not really hearing anything from my sources. It's either going to be a refresh, that's what I'm thinking, and another refresh. My heart is wanting a hybrid to compete with the Sienna, but I just don't know if Honda's going to do it. More than likely, it's going to be the 10-speed auto with the V6. Can't tell you what time of the year the new Odyssey would be coming out. My guess would be summer. And then what's going on the Civic end? Well, I'm not sure if we're going to get a refresh in 2024. That could be coming or pushed to 2025. The most exciting thing about the Civic in 2024 is that it is finally getting the hybrid. And the hybrid is going to really put on blast the Prius, more than likely, as well as the Corolla hybrid, the Elantra hybrid, and we're going to have a nice shootout in that compact sedan hatchback market. And the Civic hybrid, it's gotten raving reviews over in Europe. It's been on sale there for a year or two now. Around 185 horsepower, tons of torque, and it is going to be a great model in the lineup for Honda, probably 50 miles per gallon, fairly easy, I would say. Hopefully they keep the cost down, and hopefully we have good availability of the hybrid. If we look at the CR-V hybrid as well as the Accord hybrid, we know that there's a huge 50+% take rate of the hybrid models there. We could see the same thing with the Civic. Honda wants to be fully electric in North America, I think by 2040, and in 2030 they'll be very electrified from hybrids to fully electric. So this is where the crystal ball comes out, 2025 and beyond. So take these things with a grain of salt. But in 2025, I hope to God Honda gives us an HR-V hybrid. And maybe a slight refresh would be nice too, but an HR-V hybrid would be awesome. Maybe change the front end. If we're getting a refresh, I would like to see a different front end on it, because when I was in Japan, David and I, we toured the Honda headquarters, and they had the Vezel over there, and the Vezel is a gorgeous vehicle. It's very well done design-wise. Our HR-V front end here in the States, it just doesn't look right. Bring the HR-V hybrid, give a Corolla Cross hybrid a run for its money, and we should be getting a refresh on the CR-V in 2025 as well. Don't expect any differences. Maybe we get a CR-V plug-in hybrid if we're lucky to compete against the RAV4 Prime and the Korean plug-in hybrids as well, like the Tucson plug-in hybrid, for example. But what we should also be getting, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we finally get a redesign on the Passport and Ridgeline. It's still currently on the old platform. They still use the old 9-speed auto, even though they got refreshed in 2020 at the end of 2023. Hoping 2025 brings us a huge improvement on the new platform. The current MDX is on that platform, and the Pilot's on that platform as well, even though the MDX and Pilot have completely different suspensions. In 2025, we should also be getting a refresh on said Pilot. Don't know what they would be doing. Probably just new screens in it. It has really small screens, and we should be getting updated electronics and safety features there. Now, 2025, at the end of that year, there's a huge development happening. LG and Honda's joint venture battery plant in Ohio is going online and starting to cranking out batteries. This is important because at this point, in theory, Honda won't have to rely on General Motors anymore. In fact, in 2023, they're working together on small electric vehicles that are affordable. That was supposed to come out in 2027. That got scrapped. They're no longer working together. And what they have been working together with, the Origin self-driving, that could be falling apart too. The Origin is like a burning mess right now. I think that's going to be very exciting for a lot of you guys, because you don't want Honda to have much to do with General Motors. I don't really care as long as the product's good and it's reliable. It's good news that Honda is breaking away, in my opinion, get their own identity, create their own cars. And in 2025, not only are they building their own batteries, but we should start seeing the materialization of their Honda E architecture. And this is going to be coming to 2026, and we could see 3 models in 2026 that are completely on this new platform. One is Afeela, which is Honda and Sony working together. I toured this vehicle for you guys when I was in Japan. I wasn't expecting much from it, to be honest. Electric cars sometimes, it's more glitz and glam than actual substance. That Afeela felt production ready. It felt extremely premium. The materials, the electronics, the screen quality, the build quality. I know there's just one of one prototype in the world, but it was absolutely amazing. It looked incredible. It looks unlike any other vehicle on the road. Very smooth lines, like a smooth pebble compared to a lot of these EVs, which have all these crazy hard edges going on all over the place, like Lexus. We'll talk about Lexus later in the video, of course, once we get through the other manufacturers. But yes, Afeela coming in 2026 using Sony technology. You'll have PlayStation controllers on the inside, so you can stream your games from your PS5 into the car, because it has all these camera sensors and Wi-Fi. It's a rolling PlayStation, kind of how I see it. It's a PlayStation on wheels, the Afeela. I don't know how you feel about the name, but I really like the car from what I saw. What we see about the Afeela is a foreshadowing of what we'll also see in the Honda lineup. We'll see an EV sedan from Honda likely in 2026. They don't want Afeela to have the entire spotlight, but the Afeela is built in North America, and they should also be building the Honda badged version of it without all the Sony screens and technology and PlayStation built in. So that'll be coming. So an EV Honda sedan, as well as potentially an EV compact crossover. The Prologue could still be on sale. I don't know how long Honda will need General Motors to produce the Prologue. I would assume they sign like a 3-year agreement because the EV market's very fickle. And I would assume Honda would rather have their own compact crossover coming out in 2026 and discontinue the Prologue, hence the name, right? The Prologue is a foreshadowing of what's to come. Killed the Prologue, in my opinion, in 2026 with maybe just 3 short model years, and then we have an EV compact crossover under the Honda E architecture as well. Civic could be getting a redesign in 2026, and in 2027, no longer are we getting those cheap Ultium EVs that was supposed to be with General Motors. That's scrapped. We could be getting a refreshed HRV at that point, or maybe the Civic redesign falls into 2027. But big things coming for Honda. Let's see here. They want to make over 70 Prologues a year starting this year. That is more than I was expecting. That's quite a few. They want to be 40% electric in North America by 2030. We know that in 2025, the e-architecture is coming out, maybe pushed to 2026. Exciting times for Honda, and I can't wait to see what they have planned for us in 2024 and beyond. Acura in 2024 and beyond is going to have some big changes coming for the company. We know them as the premium sports performance division of Honda. They're mainly a North American brand. In 2022, we got the revival of the Integra. We had a little refresh on the RDX. In 2023, we got the Integra Type S. Holy cow, that vehicle is amazing. And we also had the TLX Type S refresh right at the end of 2023. 2024, what is going to happen? Well, I'm hoping we get an MDX refresh. I love the new MDX. I still call it new. It's been on the market for a while. Maybe we'll see some updates there. Maybe getting rid of the ELS audio, which I really, really like. I think everyone really likes ELS audio. And as they're switching over to the Bang & Olufsen sound systems, which is debuting, by the way. The Bang & Olufsen is debuting in the ZDX. The ZDX should come out early 2024. It should launch with the Type S as well. The Type S will have 500 horsepower, and the normal ZDX probably around 300 horsepower. The official numbers are out there. I just don't have them on top of my head. I'll put them on the screen for you guys. But the ZDX is going to be in the $70,000 range for the Type S, and I think around the $60,000 range for the non-Type S. I think you can get this, the ZDX in rear-wheel drive, where the Prologue is front-wheel drive, for example, all-wheel drive, and I think you can also, well, of course, you can get the ZDX and the Type S with 500 horsepower. Think of this as the Cadillac Lyriq, but kind of morphed and changed into an Acura. So you have the, I gave you guys a quick walk around. I was at the LA Auto Show. I was impressed with it. I liked it quite a bit just sitting in it. It felt Acura-like for me, except from a few General Motors parts here and there, but I think Acura did a pretty good job making it their own. All right, in 2025, what is going on for Acura? Well, fingers crossed, more than likely, got a good feeling about it. The RDX will finally be getting a redesign. The RDX is a bit long in the tooth right now. It's got the 2-liter turbocharged engine with the 10-speed auto. It just needs updated electronics more than anything. I hate the True Touch interface. The MDX currently has that too, so hopefully they can get rid of that this year in 2024 with the refresh for the 2025 RDX redesign. What is Honda and Acura going to do with the powertrain? Well, I don't think they're going to do anything to it. I think they're going to keep the 2-liter. They're going to keep the 10-speed auto. And if we're lucky, we get a Type S, an all-wheel drive Type S like we see in the TLX. So the thing is, I'm not quite sure if the RDX will take the 3-liter V6 from the TLX. as well as the MDX Type S models, and put that in the Type S RDX, or they'll use the 4-cylinder. I personally think they'll use the 4-cylinder Type S engine with over 300 horsepower that we see from the Integra Type S. But that would be cool to see. More than likely 10-speed auto, beefed up as a Type S, all-wheel drive, super handling all-wheel drive that we see from the MDX Type S, for example. Made it to the 2-liter and called a day for the RDX Type S. Integra and the Integra Type S could also see a refresh in 2025. They don't have the True Touch interface to begin with, so they'll just be getting new updated electronics, maybe Google Assistant sort of things going on. ELS audio could be replaced by Bang & Olufsen. In 2026, like Honda, with the introduction of the e-architecture, we will be seeing a new next-gen EV sedan from Acura. I would love for it to be called the Legend. Bring the Legend back. Honda or Acura, you brought the Integra nameplate back. Bring back the Legend nameplate for this new architecture EV. And what's going to happen to the TLX? Ooh, that's tough to say. I think that they would keep the TLX around in 2026, maybe give it another refresh. I don't see them investing for a whole redesign for the TLX in 2026 unless it is just fully battery electric, and then you just have one full size. It's not even full size, but if it's an EV, it'll have more interior space than the TLX, right? So we could just see one electric sedan in 2026 and the TLX as we know it with the gasoline engines be retired. Or what I think is going to happen is Honda's going to hedge their bets, refresh the TLX again, and come out with a Legend EV sedan. That would just make my day. In 2027, it's hard to say, right? We're getting further out. It's getting less clear. The murkiness is clouding our crystal ball. MDX redesign could happen. What would an MDX redesign look like in 2027? Probably gasoline engine still. And we know Acura is not committed to hybrids unless something really drastic happens in the EV market where EVs aren't selling at all or something. I just don't see that happening with the research and development going into them. They're going to get better and better. But MDX redesign more than likely is going to stick with their gasoline engines and a Type S, but just new styling, new technology. And ZDX. What's going to happen to the ZDX in 2027? I think like the Honda Prologue, it could very well be canceled after its first initial run of 3 years because the ZDX is built alongside of the Lyriq, the Cadillac Lyriq, I think in Spring Hill, Tennessee. So I don't think Acura wants long-term ambitions with the ZDX. And like the first ZDX, it didn't live very long. So I think the ZDX could be meeting its end in 2027. Now, in 2027, we could also see a new 3-row electric vehicle. We know just call it the MDX electric, right? Maybe you have a redesigned gasoline engine MDX, and then you have an electric MDX as well. Hopefully that 3-row EV from Acura is on the new e-architecture. I don't see why it wouldn't. Honda is building it to be very scalable and flexible. So that should be coming in 2027. And after that is beyond my comprehension, other than we know Acura wants to have over 50% EV sales volume here in North America by 2030. They want to have about 30,000 per year of the ZDX, where it was 70,000 per year with the Prologue on the Honda end. So that's the GM tie-up, right? And then again, e-architecture coming in about 2026, where we'll see a next-gen EV sedan followed by a 3-row EV, and then probably an RDX-like EV somewhere in there as well. But ending it there on Acura, cannot wait to see what they have coming out in 2024. Hopefully we have some surprises, but ZDX hitting the market, and I would love to see an MDX refresh this year, even though I'm about 50-50 on that. Toyota, the largest manufacturer in the entire world. In 2023, they had a very good year. They came out with the Corolla Cross Hybrid. In my opinion, that's the car to beat in the segment. Not because it looks great, not because it handles great. It's because you get 40 plus miles per gallon, and it is probably one of the faster compact crossovers on the market. Not quite as quick as like the CX-30 Turbo, but it's cheaper than that CX-30 Turbo from Mazda. But I love the Corolla Cross Hybrid for what it offers. It's essentially a lifted wagon Prius because it has the same Prius hybrid powertrain. We also got the rollout right at the tail end of 2023 of the new generation Tacoma. Hybrids will be coming in 24 of that Tacoma. We'll get into 2024 in a little bit as we recap 2023. Grand Highlander came out. It is a home run from Toyota. Huge. It's essentially a minivan without sliding doors. Thing's massive. Got a hybrid, 35 miles per gallon on it. You got upscale hybrid, the Hybrid Max with 340 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. And then you also have the turbocharged 4-cylinder powering that thing. Tons of room in the third row, tons of cargo space behind the third row. Great ergonomics, looks good. Seeing them more and more on the roads here in late 2023. The Prius also came out in the very beginning of 2023 with the Prime. They're very, very, very difficult to get still. At the end of 2023, they're just not able to meet the demand there. And CHR bit the dust in 2023, even though it lives on in Europe with a redesign. All right, getting into 2024, that's why you guys are here. New Camry comes out on sale this spring, hybrid only, 225 horsepower to 232 horsepower, depending if you get all-wheel drive. It is a strong refresh. It's the same vehicle, new interior design, new exterior design. Platform is the same, but it's a 5th-gen hybrid now. We should be getting a new 4Runner finally. It should be announced sometime, I'm hoping in early, or should I say the first half of 2024, and maybe starts hitting lots by the end of 2024 if we're lucky. But there's no way we're leaving 2024 without the announcement of a new 4Runner, the large body on frame. Like, it is a cult classic at this point. People love their 4Runners like they love their tacos, right? So 2024 is going to be the year of off-roading vehicles, I think, even though we get the Camry. No, 2024 was also the year we're supposed to get a refreshed Venza, but that got killed off due to the introduction of the Crown Signia, the large wagon-like. I think it's gorgeous. Watch my walk-arounds on it. It's a very impressive vehicle, has a lot of presence to it. It's going to have the hybrid system. It's hybrid only. Around 230 some horsepower in the Crown Signia. Should be able to get about 40 miles per gallon. Built in Japan, of course, as all Crowns are, and it will be alongside the current Crown sedan. And I would take one over any Lexus NX or RX if I had the money for one of those vehicles, or if I was in the market for one of those vehicles. Also, Land Cruiser comes back 2024. So not only are we going to get a redesign, or at least an introduction on the 4Runner, we finally get also the Land Cruiser coming back. You got the entry-level 1958 at launch, and starting in the mid-50s, and then you have the Land Cruiser Heritage model at launch with the circular headlights. But the J250, it's hybrid only. It's also called the Prado in other markets. It's hybrid only, 2.4 turbo hybrid, 326 horsepower, 465 pound-feet of torque, 8-speed auto, 4x4. You'll have lockers on it. It's going to do really well for them. The GX, the Lexus GX is coming out just before that, and it should also have a very strong market too, especially with the pricing. So very impressed with the new Land Cruiser. We'll be driving it this spring for you guys, more than likely. Last thing in 2024, it's not coming in 2024, but we'll get more than likely the redesign of the best-selling Toyota in the world, the best-selling Toyota in North America, and the best-selling non-pickup truck vehicle in North America as well. This is none other than the RAV4. The RAV4 is supposed to, I have a whole video on it, make sure to check that out. The RAV4 will be fully electrified with the new redesign coming in 2025. I guess this is almost a segue into 2025, right? And it will have the 2.5 liter hybrid. It'll have a new updated all-wheel drive system, more than likely. It is supposed to be the first vehicle to have the Arene software, the new digital software. So the screen technology and over-the-air updates, it's going to be just on another level we've never seen in any Toyota product before. And the RAV4 is bringing that torch of the future with it, and it's going to be sprinkling down into other Toyota and Lexus models with that software first approach, all built around Arene. LA Auto Show announcement, we should have a plug-in hybrid probably coming out at launch in 2025. And what's also happening in 2025 is that battery plant in North Carolina with 10 manufacturing lines for batteries is coming online. So that's how we'll see the RAV4 for the first time be built, or should I say the RAV4 Prime for the first time be built in North America, as that will have the battery packs being supplied for it. 8 of those battery pack lines at the battery plant in North Carolina are going to be for hybrids and plug-in hybrids. 2 of them will be dedicated EV battery pack lines. Segue right into the BZ5X, or whatever they decide to call it. I don't know if Toyota's doubling down on the BZ names or not. No one likes the naming of it. We are all familiar with Corolla, Highlander, Camry, Tacoma. We like real names for cars. We don't like numbers and letters. The luxury marquees can kind of do that, but mainstream models need to have a name. But here we go. The BZ5X, a 3-row electric vehicle built in Kentucky. We'll also see a Subaru variant of that, and maybe even a Lexus variant of that, of course, built in that Kentucky plant as well. BZ5X, 3-row electric crossover. That also coincides with new electric motor technology and inverters coming from Toyota and Aishin and Denso. So that's exciting. And we should see those maybe in refreshed, let's say, BZ4X, for example. We should get a refreshed Mirai and Tundra in 2025. Could get a redesigned Corolla. The Highlander is supposed to get a redesign on traditional timelines in 2025, but my sources are saying the Highlander is dead. Highlander is getting canceled. I don't have the timeline for that. I would assume it's happening in 2025. Maybe 2024 would be the last year of the Highlander. Also, what's happening to the Sienna? Well, Sienna production, I hear, this is take this with a grain of salt, but my sources are saying Sienna production is actually going to Japan. And if that's the case, I can make a whole video on my hypotheticals with the Sienna, but if that's the case, that's going to open up a lot of battery electric production at the Indiana plant. And that Sienna will still stay hybrid, hopefully plug-in hybrid as well when we get a new Sienna. And that's why the Sienna was actually due for a refresh in 2024. And I don't think we're going to get it because Sienna production is leaving North America for the first time ever. So imported minivans. I'm okay with that because Japan knows how to make the best minivans in the world. And yeah, I'm excited for a Japanese-made Sienna. What else in 2025? I'm hoping we get the Crown Sport. The Crown Sport would be the third entry in the Crown lineup after the sedan and the Insignia. And that's also another reason why the Highlander could be getting axed, in my opinion. You bring in the Crown Sport, and this is the Crown model I think most of you would rather have over the Signia. It's not as big or as long or as honking as the Signia. It looks like a Ferrari Purosangue. It looks amazing. I hope it comes in 2025. Land Cruiser FJ, that's the trademark of the baby Land Cruiser. And I think we could see this be either debuted and on sale in 2025 or just debuted with availability in 2026. But the baby Land Cruiser has to come to North America. No one knows what kind of powertrains are on it. It could be something like a 2-liter hybrid, 2.5-liter hybrid. It could be fully battery electric. I don't know. And we'll have to find out probably next year. Going into 2026, okay, this is where things go quite bonkers. Their EV production in theory in 2026 is all the way up to 1.5 million by the end of 2026. Currently in 2023, it's only, it might crack 90,000 EV sales, but like I said, 1.5 million in just 3 years from now. So what is going to change? Well, we'll have a new battery electric skateboard. It is gigacasted. You'll have 3 gigacasted parts, front, back, and center. That will first debut on a Lexus model. It's not going to be long before we see that platform also on a Toyota. We could see it in 2026. We saw the FT3E at the Japan Mobility Show. Me and David were both floored by the looks of it, and that is the vehicle that we should have had instead of the BZ4X. But I think this would replace the BZ4X. I want the BZ4X to be canceled, not because it's a terrible car, it's just a bad EV, bad software, doesn't charge fast, very limited range. But if you're just driving around town, it's a perfectly fine vehicle as long as you can charge at home. but we need a no compromise EV, at least in the EV standards as we know them. Lots of range, charges fast, great software, and that should be coming in the FT3E. 2026 is like the year of the refresh potentially. Sequoia, GR86, Corolla Cross, Prius, and Crown could all see refreshes. And what would happen to the Supra? Well, in theory, we would get a redesign around 2026, but there's so much conflicting information on the Supra. I'm hearing hybrid or just straight ICE with the inline six again. It's so hard to say, but we're going to move on to 2027 when they go from 1.5 million EVs to 2 million EVs and more rollouts of more electrified models. Which ones those would be, it's just way too far out to say, but we'll see more EVs coming out for Toyota on the new platform. We could see a refresh of the Grand Highlander and the Tacoma. And this is the year I also think that the Toyota small pickup truck, let's call it the Stout for now. I think this is the year it comes out with 5th or 6th generation hybrid technology. It comes out way later than something like the Maverick, but I think Toyota will still kill it with the Stout. And I think also the Sienna redesign should come out in 2027, the one that's built in Japan more than likely. And yeah, I've heard fully electric, but it wouldn't make sense because it wouldn't qualify for the EV tax credit. So I think that is not going to happen, at least not in 2027 with the Sienna. But hybrid, plug-in hybrid is, I think, a lock for the people mover with sliding doors. 2030, it's too far out to say, but we know that Toyota's forecasted 3.5 million battery electric vehicles by 2030. Let me know what you're most excited for in 2024 for Toyota. Is it the new Camry? Is it the new 4Runner? Is it the Land Cruiser availability, the Crown Signia availability? Is it the unveiling of the new RAV4 by the end of 2024? I can't wait for all of them. It's hard for me to pick a winner there. Probably the RAV4, to be honest. Even though the Land Cruiser, I can't pick a favorite. But anyways, it's going to be a great year for Toyota. What do you want to see from them? And I'll see you in the comments with the world's largest manufacturer. Lexus is on a very strong tear at the end of 2023. Their hybrid uptake is unlike we've ever seen before. I think that's going to keep increasing. And we know Lexus wants to be fully battery electric here in North America in 2030. But until then, there's a lot of shakeup going on with their current models. So if we go back into 2023, we had the new RZ, first ever electric vehicle for Lexus here in North America. The UX electric exists elsewhere. Lexus TX came out in 2023 as well. I'm seeing them on the road. This is arguably the most important vehicle for Lexus in a long time. They've needed a viable family mover for ages. Now, the TX gets rid of the 7th seat if you get a hybrid. Drives me crazy. That's souring the idea of a TX for me. But the TX, regardless, is going to be amazing for them. And so is the TX plug-in hybrid, which has the V6 plug-in hybrid that is shared with the $170,000 Century plug-in hybrid Century SUV that I showed you guys when I was in Japan. The thing's incredible. So TX in 2023, RZ, we have LBX and LM. I showed you guys the LM when I was in Japan. That thing is incredible as well. LBX not coming to America, unfortunately, even though it'd be awesome to have that alongside the baby UX. An RX plug-in hybrid was a surprise that came out of left field in 2023. But let's get into 2024. It's starting off huge in January. I'm signed up to go drive the GX 550 at the end of January, and I'll share my impressions with you guys. But pricing's already out on the GX 550. It hasn't gone up much in price, about 2% on the entry level, or should I say the premium over premium. And the new GX is just a home run in design. It is stunning, and it's going to be a more affordable, more reliable G-Wagon for a lot of people. So can't wait for the GX. NX could get a refresh in 2024. Timelines say and dictate that it should. I just don't think it's going to get a major refresh. And the idea of old times where we see new headlights, new taillights, I just don't see that happening. But we could see some updates for maybe a 2025 model year NX that happens in 2024. We could be seeing some small changes to the LX. Potentially we would finally see the LX 700H, which is the iForce Max powertrain we see in the Sequoia, for example. It's just crazy that the Sequoia launched with it, and the LX, which costs over $100,000, doesn't have it still in 2024, but it could happen finally in 2024. It's not going to bring any more excitement to that vehicle, in my opinion, because the GX is the same size as the LX now, and it looks way better. All right, UX 300H could be coming in 2024. The thing is, it's 100% coming for Japan in 2024. I just don't know if we're going to see the switch over for the 300H in 2024. It would make sense to me, but I think you can already pre-order and get your hands on the 2024 model year UX 250H, but it needs to have this 300H powertrain because the Corolla Cross has this updated 5th generation hybrid powertrain with nearly 200 horsepower. Meanwhile, the UX has used the outdated powertrain of the 2 liter for years now. So yeah, Lexus, go figure, like the LX, right? They are oftentimes not the first in the Toyota Lexus lineup to get powertrains, which is just unacceptable because it's a luxury brand. They should get the cutting edge technology first. The Lexus RC Coupe could be killed off in 2024 as well. In 2025, we could see the IS battery electric vehicle family enter the market. It was teased to us at the end of 2021. They look absolutely gorgeous. They looked like they were production ready models, at least with the design. They look super polished, and it's been crickets ever since. However, my friend Mike Forsyth, he posted recently, I think on his Instagram, that the IS BEV prototype was just teased in China. So there's a possibility that in 2024 it could be seen in China. In 2025 we could be seeing it in the North American market. Time will tell, but I want these models out super soon. The current IS is super long in the tooth, looks great. It just is a dinosaur on outdated platform and technology. The Lexus TZ 3-row battery electric vehicle built alongside the BZ5X in Kentucky will be coming in 2025. It will be interesting, right? Because it is like a 3-row competitor that's fully electric to the TX. Lexus ES could and should and is on track to head back to Japan for production for the first time since 2013, something like that, when they started producing the ES in Kentucky. It's going back to Japan, which is exciting. We'll see hybrid, plug-in hybrid versions of the ES, potentially maybe a fully electric. I don't see that happening with the IS battery electric family, but the ES has a lot of ground to cover. And the reason is the LS is it's on life support right now. It could be canceled in 2025, the LS, before it's replaced with a fully battery electric flagship in the following years. But the LS it just doesn't sell for anything anymore. The Germans make better large sedans at this point in time. Even Genesis, it arguably makes a better full-size sedan as well. It has a better powertrain than the LS. Yes, the LS could be ending in 2025, and that's why the ES, like I said, the ES has a lot of slack to pick up from the discontinued GS that happened in 2021, as well as potentially the discontinued LS. So the ES needs to have a lot of improvements and a lot of desirability, a lot of performance to carry the load. Lexus doesn't need 3 sedans, a flagship, a front-wheel drive model, as well as the rear-wheel drive IS. They just need to have the IS and ES. As long as they can make those vehicles as best to their ability as possible, they don't need to have a flailing and dying flagship on their hands that is uncompetitive. GX 550H Plus, the hybrid version of it, should be coming in 2025. It could be called the GX 600H. Don't have official naming of it, but it'll be turbo 4-cylinder hybrid that we see on the Land Cruiser, 326 horsepower and more pound-feet of torque than most people need, 465. Now, there's also trademarks for a Lexus HZ. And my theories with the HZ is that it could be the hatchback variant of the fully electric IS. And the HZ trademarks have 350, 450, and 550 nomenclatures to them. So if we see 550 nomenclature, that's going to be 400 fully electric horsepower. 350 would probably be rear-wheel drive only. 200 to 250 horsepower, and the 450 would have all-wheel drive as well with about 300 horsepower plus. Could have more. So HZ, I know it's going to come. I don't know exactly what it is. H could stand for hatchback, and I think it could be the hatch IS coming in 2025. 2026, as we get further out, some things get a little bit murky, but in 2026, we have hard deadlines from Lexus, from Toyota. This is when the new platform comes online for Lexus and Toyota, the next-gen platform using gigacasting, software-defined vehicles, next-gen battery technology with Panasonic. You have smaller, thinner batteries. Energy density goes up. We'll be seeing huge range improvements across the Lexus lineup for their EVs, and that starts with the LFZC. Don't know what they're going to call it. Maybe that's what they call the HZ. It's possible, but the LFZC, 100%, that concept that we saw is coming in production form in 2026. You're able to sit lower to the ground with the smaller batteries. It's just super efficient. And screens everywhere on the inside. And it's going to be really cool to see how that vehicle drives. But that's the big thing for Lexus in 2026. We could see a new UX in 2026. We could finally see the UX introduce the EV variant, maybe with more power. That'd be pretty cool. How fun would it be to have a UX F Sport Performance or UX F electric with 400 horsepower fully? It would just be a rocket. And the UX is kind of the same size as the Hyundai Kona, except even more cramped. But the Hyundai Kona's had an EV for a long time, so I know it's totally different markets, but those vehicles remind me of each other because they're so similar in size. And it would be great to have a UX electric alongside of the UX 300H in 2026. Make it a little bit bigger because the current UX is just too small in the cargo. It's too small for the passengers in the backseat. I can hardly get out and into the backseat of a UX. RZ, what is going to happen to the RZ? Well, it could be canceled because we have the next gen platform coming with the LFZC. So they could just get rid of the RZ, and we'll have a next gen compact crossover to take over the RZ in 2027. We have to go back in time. There's one vehicle I have not covered, and that's the LFR. The LFR is a Mercedes-AMG GT fighter, 4-liter twin-turbo V8, potentially hybrid variants of it. This will replace the RC and the RCF as the GT3 race car for Lexus. This is 100% coming as a Lexus. It was debuted as the GT3, GR-GT3 at the Tokyo Auto Salon last year. Vehicle has to come out 2025, I'm going to say. Carry the torch of Lexus performance, because Lexus Performance is going fully electric. This is their last hurrah with motorsports as we know it anyways. LFR, can't wait for it to come. It's going to be incredible. Some people are calling it the LFA2 in Japan. We could also see in 2026 LFZV or LFZA. Those were also trademarked. At the same time, the LFZC and the LFZL were trademarked. And those could be pushed into 2027 as well. I think one of them has to be the replacement for the RZ. And the RX, I think, will get one last refresh probably in 2026 before it goes fully electric in 2030, right? Because Lexus has to be fully electric in North America by 2030. 2027, we could also see a refresh, one last refresh on the NX for a few more years before it goes fully electric by 2030 as well. Guys, that's a lot. There's a lot coming for Lexus in the next 5 years. It is huge with the introduction of a new EV platform and new EV software that's going to change the company forever. The GX 550 coming out early 2024, that is going to be absolutely incredible. Twin turbo V6 off-roading powerhouse, and there's a lot of exciting things coming for Lexus. And for me, none of them really involve the RX or NX, their best-selling vehicles. My excitement goes over for the GX. It's there for the next-gen EV platform. It's there for the IS EV whenever it comes, even though it's built more than likely with the old architecture. Just can't wait for those vehicles to come, as well as the performance leader of the lineup and the race car, the LFR. I'll end with this Japanese scoop for Lexus. My favorite Lexus, maybe of all time, that I've ever driven, because I haven't driven the LFA yet, but my favorite Lexus I've ever driven is the LC. It's not the best handling car, it's not the fastest car, but my gosh, I feel so happy when I drive the Lexus LC 500. The V8 sounds amazing. You can bang it off the rev limiter. You can just look like a piece of art rolling down the road. And then when they came out the convertible, the LC was perfected. Now, they never came out with the LCF that we always wanted with a twin turbo V8 or anything like that. But with the discontinuation of the RC as the race car and the uncertain future of the LC, this story broke earlier this year coming out of Japan. And this could have been in the 2025 section, but who knows when this vehicle is coming out. Japan saying it's coming out in 2025. But this coupe is supposed to consolidate the LC and the RC together, hence the LC plus RC right here. We know the coupe market's not big to begin with, so if they just have one product that's fantastic, to take the best of the LC, take the best of the RC, mix it together, come out with a more affordable product compared to the LC. And they're saying V6 hybrid. They're saying potentially turbo V6s too. They don't really know, but I think they're onto something here. I think they're hearing accurate reports coming out of Japan about they'll have a flagship coupe, the LFR, which is a halo product, kind of a halo product. It's almost like a last-ditch effort for a combustion engine halo product from Lexus. That's what the LFR is. That technology is not really going to trickle down in the traditional sense that a halo product's technology and power and stuff trickles down. But this is going to be a little brother to the LFR and the spiritual successor, I would say, to the RC more than the LC. I think it's going to be priced closer to the RC than the LC, but they could still come out with F variants of this. That's the thing. We have the LFR now, and we could see that twin turbo V8 slotted into this. That's just that's not what this article is saying, but knowing Lexus, they like to reuse powertrains. So that would be my hope, is that we have a new RC LC successor, and you'll have multiple different powertrains. I'm sure they will be electrified in some shape or fashion, but if we get twin turbo V8, maybe twin turbo V8 hybrid or plug-in hybrid, this thing would be absolutely insane. But that's the last piece I wanted to add for you guys. I don't know when this vehicle is coming, if it comes, but they need to have a replacement for not only the RC, but the beloved LC, even though I don't think anyone wants that vehicle to be canceled. It can live on forever, kind of like the Land Cruiser 70 series has lived on forever in many parts of the world, essentially unchanged. That's what I want for the LC. The LC is a perfect car. Pretty much, the technology, the screen technology is neither here nor there, but in terms of the car itself, it's absolutely perfect. Interior, exterior, and the appeal. I'll see you guys in the comments of what you would like to see for Lexus in the next few years. What are you most excited for? Cannot wait to see the GX in 2024. Nissan's doing pretty okay right now. I'm reviewing a Pathfinder at the moment. There's not a whole lot of bad things for me to say about it. That's great. I really like it overall. Like the design, like how it rides. I like a lot of Nissan products, especially the ones that don't use a CVT. In 2023, we saw a refreshed Sentra. We got a refreshed Rogue. I also test drove the Rogue this past year. Like the 3-cylinder turbo, still held back by the CVT. The Z Nismo came out. Check out my driving impressions of the Z Nismo. That thing is a lot of fun. Pretty much vaporware, very hard to get. And the Maxima met its end in 2023. Rest in peace, Maxima. We'll never see you again unless it comes out as an EV. We'll talk about that in a little bit. 2024, we're supposed to get the redesign of the kicks. I think it was actually originally planned for 2023 for the redesign of the kicks, but there's something that happened in Mexico where the molds for the kicks got stolen. So yeah, Nissan Kicks redesign coming in 2024. I'm excited for it. I'd love to see a hybrid version of it. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but Nissan Leaf is getting a redesign in 2024. Finally, right? It's one of the more affordable EVs, but it's also one of the most non-competitive EVs. It doesn't have active cooling for the battery packs, which feels like that's outdated by 20 years at this point. But the Leaf is no longer going to be produced in America. It's going to be produced in Great Britain, and it would have to be imported from Great Britain into the United States, and therefore it won't qualify for the EV tax credit unless you lease it. And I think leasing is the best way to handle any electric vehicle in the 2020s because battery technology, software, and all the research and development pouring into EVs makes these things essentially outdated within a year or two. So leasing them is great. You can get rid of it at the end of 3 years or whatever your lease term is and move on to the next one. Anyways, I went off the rail there. But yeah, that's how you qualify for the Leaf's tax credits. You're going to have to lease it in 2024. Hopefully we get it in 2024. It will be announced in 2024. We might not see it until 2025 or so, but time will tell. We'll get a new Armada. Well, the new Armada will have twin turbo V6, 9-speed automatic, I believe, and it's going to have tons of power, more power likely than we see the twin turbo V6 and it's not the Sequoia, I should say maybe the LX, because it has bigger displacement from what I'm hearing. I'm hearing over close to 4-liter twin turbo V6. This thing's going to be a beast. It's going to have tons of power and torque, and I can't wait for it. However, I'm going to miss the V8. I love the V8, the 5.6 liter in the Armada as well as a QX80. Buttery smooth. It's going to be super reliable. So snap up those V8 Armadas while you can. Should get a refresh on the Pathfinder next year, or should I say in 2024 as well. Mainly just probably bigger screen, I would say, than the one I'm driving this week. And slightly different styling. We know about that Cascade front grille that we saw that was debuted in China for the Pathfinder. I think that'll come as a refresh this year in 2024. Titan is finally meeting its end. The writing has been on the wall for years now. It got canceled in Canada a couple years ago, and it was just a matter of time before it finally ended production as Nissan bails out of its full-size pickup truck in 2024. It's been a slow death for it. 2025 is kind of hard to say what's going on there. I'm banking on the Murano to get a redesign as well as a hybrid. Finally, Nissan bringing their e-power technology, their series hybrid technology into North America. Finally. It's been in Europe, it's been in Japan for many, many years now, maybe even as long as a decade, and we're finally getting it, and I hope the Ultima gets it in 2025. Ultima is probably getting a redesign as well in 2025, so it should come out with a hybrid, and the Murano coming out with a redesign and a hybrid as well. I'm surprised they're still going to make the Murano, to be honest, because the Rogue is just, it's good, and it kind of fits the bill, but we'll see. 2026 is also, we got hard deadlines for Nissan. EV sedan on a new platform, built in Canton, Mississippi. That should be maybe the next Maxima. They could call it the Skyline as well if they wanted to. I think that would be pretty cool. It'd get more people talking about it than if it was called Maxima. We'll also have an EV crossover. It could be a coupe crossover styled on that new platform as well, coming out of Canton, Mississippi. Who knows what's going to happen to Aria, because Aria is kind of like a coupe crossover, but I don't know what they're going to do with it. Maybe they give it a redesign and rebadge it as an Infiniti or something, which they should have done with the Aria. The current Aria should be an Infiniti instead of Nissan, but it is what it is. So yeah, don't know what they're going to do with the Aria. It could get a refresh, or they could can it because they have new EV structures being built in North America that qualify for the EV tax credit. Sentra should get a redesign. Maybe we'll see a hybrid on it. That's a possibility. They have e-power on like the Note Ara, which is a similar sized vehicle over in Japan. So hopefully that gets a hybrid as well. Who knows what's going to happen to the GTR by 2026? I think the next one's supposed to be fully electric. I feel like I hear different reports on the GTR every week. In 2027, I'm hoping for the EV pickup to come out. Nissan has pretty much said that they're very interested in making an EV small pickup truck. We should be getting a refresh on the Frontier in 2027, and the Rogue will be getting a redesign, and of course it would be coming with hybrid power at that point as well with the e-power technology. So Nissan, I feel like their lineup is, it's going to get them through, right? With the changing decade here, and the EV sedan was supposed to come out in 2025. That got pushed back to 2026. If you guys are excited for Nissan, comment down below. I hope they surprise me, because what I talked about today is it's very safe from them, but with a company that's not making a lot of profit. They're also, I forgot to mention this, are also putting in a big investment into Renault's EV Ampere platform and software. So we could be seeing those vehicles in the later half of the 2020s, but that is all like, it's way too cloudy and murky in my crystal ball to predict anything with Renault and their EVs. But I'll see you in the comments with Nissan. What am I most excited for? Oh, the new Armada. Love the Armada, long live the Armada and the V8. What is Infiniti bringing for us in 2024 and beyond? That's what we're going to talk about right now. I just came back from Japan. Infiniti debuted there, kind of the replacement for the Skyline / Q50 sedan. The silhouette of it looked really, really cool. So if we look back in 2023, it was a nothing burger for Infiniti. I thought they were going to kill off the Q60. It's still limping along. And they didn't bring out any new models that I'm aware of. No refreshes, no redesigns. So 2024, as we look forward, we finally get a nugget. The QX80 getting a redesign based off of the Armada and the Nissan Patrol. Big fat twin turbo V6 replacing the V8. Can't wait to test it. I'm going to miss the V8, but this thing is going to smoke it in terms of torque and power. And we already know what the new QX80 looks like for the most part. There's going to be some differences with the monograph that they showed, but stunning vehicle, great design on it. Can't wait to see that vehicle come by the end of 2024. Not exactly sure when it's going to be available in this year, but yes, it will be coming, and that's really the only thing they have going for them. And it's possible that the Q50 gets limped on with no changes for another year, their best-selling sedan. 2025 QX60 getting a little refresh. The QX60 still feels new. It's been on the road essentially since the end of 2021, but production was not there until I think at the end of 2022, something like that. So the QX60, it's a fancier version of the Pathfinder. The Pathfinder is a pretty good place to start with, and the QX60 has incredible looks. I think it's one of the best looking 3-row crossovers on the market. That's not a super expensive Range Rover or something, but QX60 getting a refresh in 2025. Praying to the gods of Mount Fuji, we get a redesigned QX50 and QX55 in 2025. They get rid of the Jacko CVT on it, give us a 9-speed auto, and I don't think we'll see hybrids in the Infiniti lineup, because I think they're going to prioritize electrified vehicles, kind of like what Acura is doing with full EVs and skipping hybrids. Remember, Infiniti used to have hybrids, and I saw a funny article lately that, well, not funny for the guy, but his battery pack went out on his Q50 hybrid. Oh man, just stupid. QX65 could be coming in 2025. This is a coupe crossover variant of the QX60. Don't know what to think of it. Maybe it shares actually a lot with the new Murano that's supposed to come out at the same time. It's just hard to say. I would like to see Infiniti come out with a QX40 in 2025. They used to have the QX30, and that shared a lot with the GLA 250 from Mercedes. But yeah, they don't have any entry-level crossover like a Lexus UX for them to bank on. So it'd be cool to see a QX40 in the lineup, even though I doubt it's going to happen. But hopefully. 2026. We have some hard deadlines coming, mainly because Nissan is finally making a new electric platform in Camp, Mississippi. We'll see EVs and EV sedans and EV crossovers coming off of that. And so those are both supposed to hit in 2026 for Infiniti. And then anything after that is murky. Infiniti just has a super small lineup. It's incredibly dated. The QX60 is the only vehicle I think is worth buying right now. The QX80 is overpriced because it's so old, and you can buy old ones that are the same thing. So yeah, QX60 currently is the only Infiniti that I really, really like. The rest of them, I'd rather get an Armada over QX80 as well and save some money. So I'll see you guys down in the comments about Infiniti. What are your thoughts about them? Do you think their future is getting better, or do you think that their time is still limited? I'm just not sure what the future of Infiniti is. They were planning to go the Nissan Plus route a few years back. They kind of already are Nissan Plus, so no one really knew what that meant, because nothing that they have is really unique in their lineup. because it's all based off of Nissan products. Anyways, you can say the same thing mainly with Lexus, but they have a few models like the LS, like the LC, like the RC, and the IS that don't share anything with the Toyota platforms. But anyways, yeah, Infiniti, want them to do well. I just don't know why you would buy an Infiniti over the competition unless you get a really good deal on a QX60. Mitsubishi, they are the worst selling Japanese automaker in America. They've been limping along the past few years. They don't make any products really that I would pick over any other of the competition, and that's a problem for them. But we're going to look at what they have coming down the hatch for 2024 and beyond. But let's start with 2023. I don't think anything happened for them in 2023. We got the news that the Mirage would be canceled by the end of 2024, something like that, 2025. Its writing is on the wall. Poor Mirage. We need affordable vehicles, but the Mirage, who would buy a new Mirage when you could get a used Camry or a used Corolla with more power and it's safer, right? So the Mirage is a tricky situation, but in other parts of the world, they got the XFC concept, which is actually now named the X-Force. It's actually probably the best looking Mitsubishi currently in production. It's kind of like Eclipse Cross size, something like that, or Outlander Sport sized. It's very small, but we're not going to get it in America, at least for a while. In 2024, Outlander should get a refresh. That's great. Outlander plug-in hybrid as well. The plug-in hybrid Outlander is the best vehicle that Mitsubishi produces. They no longer have fun cars. The Outlander plug-in hybrid is the most okay plug-in hybrid. It's a bit cramped for a full family if you're using the third row. I want to say I got about 30 miles of electric range on it. It could have been a little bit more, but it was so unresponsive in hybrid mode that I felt like it was a bit of a safety hazard. It's very, very slow in hybrid mode. So yeah, Outlander plug-in hybrid could use a nice refresh. Also, Outlander Sport could be getting a redesign in 2024. The Colt is available in other markets. Unfortunately, it's not available here. That would have been a great replacement for the Mirage, but it is what it is. Hopefully in 2025, we get a redesign of the Eclipse Cross, and maybe they'll bring the plug-in hybrid variant to America. 2026 is the year we'll probably see our first electric vehicle from Mitsubishi in North America. It'll be fully battery electric, and it will be the X-Force. And I think that's awesome. I just wish this vehicle was coming out in 2024 as a fully electric for Mitsubishi instead of 2026. But it's better late than never, I guess. And in 2027, we'll get the Outlander redesign, maybe. Depends how long they want to, limp along the current model. I think we need, that Outlander needs a big refresh on the exterior in 2024. I think that's going to help it a lot. That's one of the things that holds me back from the current Outlander. I like it from the side and from the back, but the front end is just hideous. But yeah, anyways, that'll all change again, probably in 2027 with the redesign. And we'll get a refresh on the Outlander Sport. But Mitsubishi's lineup here in North America is so small, and they're making it smaller with the Mirage dying and then bringing in the X-Force probably in 2026. That's what I'm most excited for, is that X-Force and an Outlander refresh. Everything else I could care less about in the Mitsubishi lineup. Mazda is on a roll. They want to sell 600,000 units in North America by 2025. They are close to a record year at the end of 2023, but I don't think they're going to beat their top sales number, which is from back in 1986. That was the last time we saw Mazda hit their peak. They will be crushing that record in 2025 when they sell 1.6 million vehicles global and breaking sales records here in North America. In 2023, it was a big year for them. The introduction of the CX-90, it's actually the most fun three-row crossover to drive in its segment. If you wanted something more fun to drive, that's a three-row. You probably have to go to like a BMW X7 or X5 or something like that to get a better experience. But CX-90 is more fun to drive than a Grand Highlander. It's just not as practical, for example. But you have a nice plug-in hybrid on it. About half the sales of the CX-90 are the plug-in hybrid with over 300 horsepower and about 30 miles of range. I've only tested the inline-six one, and they need to smooth out some of the powertrain and the mild hybrid system with it. But once they do, it's going to be hard to pass up because the design of the exterior and interior are absolutely fantastic on the CX-90. as well as the quality, the build quality. Oh, love the CX-90. It's going to crush it for them now and into the future. We also have a slight refresh, the ND3 Miata, right at the tail end of 2023. But that was it, mainly it for the Mazda lineup in 2023. But into 2024, right off the bat in January, we should be getting the reveal. It could be pushed into February. It's hard to say. Should be getting the reveal of the CX-70. Which is a two-row, slightly shrunken, gosh, hard to say, two-row, slightly shrunken version of the CX-90. Rear-wheel drive platform, all-wheel drive standard, and it's going to have the plug-in hybrid as well as the inline six. Guys, this is a mass-market, upscale vehicle that is going to be knocking on the doors of Lexus, knocking on the doors of Acura, Infiniti, because the CX-90, in my opinion, already does that. And now we have a two-row that's going to be doing the same thing for the greater masses. In 2024, I'm praying to God we finally get the CX-50 hybrid being produced at the Alabama plant with Toyota. We'll be using Toyota hybrid technology, so think of it as a RAV4 hybrid that looks like a CX-50, but might not have the independent rear, like a CX-5 does or a RAV4 does. So it'll still be awesome to have a new hybrid in the Mazda lineup other than the plug-in hybrids from the CX-70 and 90. But get into 2025 already. The CX-5 hopefully gets a redesign. It's already long in the tooth. The thing is, I just reviewed the CX-5 the past few months. It is still pretty much better than any other crossover in its segment. It just needs a hybrid to fill out the hybrid market niche, and then it's guns blazing for the CX-5. I love that vehicle. It handles really well. The turbo on it's great. The ergonomics and the spaciousness is fantastic for me. It's nice and compact. It doesn't feel quite as boaty. It's easier to park than the CX-50. You have better visibility with the taller windows. I just love the CX-5. It's one of my favorite crossovers out there. Actually, it probably is. It just needs that hybrid, and hopefully we get it in 2025. And it should also be using the same hybrid technology from the RAV4 hybrid. We could be seeing a new Mazda 3 sedan and hatchback in 2025 as well. The sales on it aren't great, so it'll be interesting to see what Mazda does with it. I hope they don't cancel it. I don't think they will, but it is due for a redesign around that time period. And maybe we see a hybrid, like a Corolla hybrid powertrain in it. More than likely, no Mazda, they want more performance, so maybe they use the Prius hybrid powertrain, the 2-liter. With almost 200 horse. Also, the CX-50 could be getting that refresh in 2025. We could see the hybrid CX-50 be pushed to 2025, so maybe it would debut with the hybrid. It's just hard to say, but yeah, CX-50 refresh at the latest in 2025. Yeah, in 2025, like I said at the beginning, huge year for them. They're projecting record-breaking years in North America, in the United States, and potentially throughout the world as well. But they actually downrated their full global forecast from 1.8 to 1.6 in 2025. I think it's because of the uncertainty in China and the dwindling market for non-Chinese automakers in the Chinese market. But in 2026, redesign hopefully on the CX-30. Love the CX-30. Actually, I think I like the non-turbo version of it better because of the price as well as the heaviness in the turns and the nose heaviness of the CX-30 turbo. Hopefully we get a redesign of it in 2026 where they take out all the plastic cladding on the side of the vehicle and the bottom of the vehicle that just cheapens the look of it. The rest of the vehicle feels very premium. CX-90 could be getting a refresh as early as 2026 as well. Once they have the CX-70 and 90, as well as their global variants, the 60 and 80 available in the market, in 2026, we could see the reintroduction of the Mazda 6 as a rear-wheel drive large platform sedan. Inline 6 as well as plug-in hybrid. It would be awesome to have the Mazda 6 back. When it was canceled, it was kind of like the CX-5 of sedans. It was pretty much better than the rest of its competition, but it just didn't sell that great, unlike the CX-5. It just didn't sell great in North America, and Mazda killed it. And hopefully we can get an even more premium Mazda 6 with rear-wheel drive, standard all-wheel drive available. Besides that, in 2026, we're going to see a big jump for Mazda and their Mazda platform is set to debut in 2026 through 2028. So it's kind of like this phase 2 time period is what they call it. It is using Toyota's Arene electrified software that we'll first see in the RAV4 next year. But in 2026, Mazda is using 90% of the same technology on the software end and potentially the computer hardware end as the Toyota lineup. So that reduces costs for Mazda, but they're still putting it on their own bespoke platforms. So Mazda has 2 platforms coming out, the Mazda platform in 2026 or so, as well as a more flexible one that can have EV, hybrid, and fully gasoline setups. So you have 2 platforms coming out that will both be using Toyota's Arene software. They will be using 3 different battery suppliers, 2 of them which are kind of the same. So you have Panasonic, of course, the number 1 Japanese battery manufacturer. You have Prime Planet Energy and Solutions, which is Toyota's joint venture with Panasonic. And then you have Envision AESC Japan, based in Japan, owned by China, like a Chinese investment company, I believe. But Mazda's, not putting all their eggs in one basket with their battery supply. So you have Toyota's Prime Planet, you have Panasonic, and then Envision AESC. Now, Mazda wants to be, by 2030, be 25 to 40% electrified globally. They want to have 7 to 8 fully electric vehicles by 2030. That's impressive, right? Because their current lineup only has 7 to 8 vehicles, something like that. So that is going to be bizarre to see that many options for Mazda. Maybe even entering into new segments as well. Mazda has said that with their EVs, they could enter new segments. So maybe more sports car segments, it's hard to say. In 2027, we should get a fully electrified EV crossover on the Mazda platform, fully battery electric. And Mazda wants to be building those Mazda platform vehicles, the full battery electric platform vehicles, in North America by 2028 so they can finally qualify for the EV tax credit. But by that point in time, the EV tax credit ends, at least our current understanding of it, ends in 2030 before they revise it or just get rid of it altogether and get rid of EV tax credits. What am I most excited for? Probably the CX-70, probably the CX-50 hybrid as well, which is both in 2024. And then seeing the possible reintroduction of the Mazda 6 is what my heartstrings are tied to. Could we see an RX-9 or a return of a high-performance coupe from Mazda? Of course, because they teased it as a twin-rotor plug-in hybrid at the Japan Mobility Show. I think we'll see something like that come by the end of the decade, maybe 2026, 2027. It's just kind of hard to say. Of course, I'd be super excited for that as well. But also you in the comments on Mazda, all their technology, all their platform. What do you want from Mazda the most? And long live the Mazda 6. Subaru's up year over year in 2023. They brought out the redesigned Crosstrek, and it is just selling like hotcakes for them. Crosstrek is one of the best handling and best driving, in my opinion, crossovers in the subcompact market. But it is, my gosh, it is one of the slowest cars I've ever driven in the base 2-liter form. You're just driving in and around town, it probably doesn't matter, but it is a dog. We need a little hybrid action on that. But the rest of the video, we'll be looking at what's coming in 2024 for Subaru, as well as the model years after that, because a lot of changes are happening for the Japanese automaker. So in 2024, they're gunning for over 1 million total sales globally. Now, you could say about 60% of those sales come from North America. It is by far their largest market. So in 2024, we're getting the redesigned Forester. Heck yeah. I gave you guys a real quick walk around of that Forester when I was at the LA Auto Show where they revealed it. And I think Subaru had one of the most impressive booths at the LA Auto Show. It felt like you were in a forest. There were pine trees everywhere. It looked really woodsy. It was super cute. The Ascent should also be getting a redesign in 2024. And the Ascent is one of the least competitive 3-row crossovers in its segment. The engine's okay. The CVT kills it for me. And there's other shortcomings with the Ascent as well. So can't wait to see what they do with the redesign for it. It needs to be a little bit bigger to compete with the new Grand Highlander, for example. And get rid of the CVT. Please, God, get rid of it. But I don't think they will. They don't have anything else for an automatic transmission in the Subaru lineup other than CVTs. So moving past 2024 and 2025, hopefully we get that Forester hybrid. They said it's not going to be available at launch with the Forester, but it is coming and it will be using Toyota technology. But they'll still be using, to my understanding, their Boxer 4-cylinder engines. It'll be fun to see how a Subaru uses Toyota's technology and modifies it for their own Boxer engines and symmetrical all-wheel drive platform. It's going to be a hoot. I cannot wait, because maybe they come out with something pretty special there that makes it more engaging, more fun to drive than Toyota's hybrids. It's possible. Also in 2025, they will be coming out with a new EV, a 3-row that's built at a Toyota plant in Kentucky alongside the BZ5X, and it'll have its own Subaru rebadging worked into it. Think of it as a Subaru Solterra. It's the same thing as a BZ4X. This is going to be the same thing as a BZ5X. We also should be getting a redesign on the Outback in 2025. Hopefully it comes with hybrids as well. That'd be fantastic. Outback, I think it is the best-selling vehicle so far this year for Subaru. It's one of their cash cows. Legacy, it's hard to say. Legacy's due for a redesign or an update in 2025. Just sedans don't do that great for them, and the WRX really can cover the load, in my opinion. It has the same engine, to my knowledge, as the Legacy Turbo, so yeah, just don't know what they're going to do with it. 2026 is the year of the refresh for Subaru, potentially. Updated BRZ, updated Crosstrek, bring a hybrid to it, please. Updated WRX, as well as updated Impreza hatchback. Watch my recent review on the Impreza hatchback. Subaru's global platform makes their vehicles feel really fun in the turns. They feel really planted. They handle the bumps very, very well. It's just Impreza RS hatchback was so slow, and the CVT kills it. So Solterra, don't know what's going to happen to the Solterra. It could get a refresh in 2026, or they could cancel it and replace it with another Toyota badged EV. However, let's talk, this is a good segment, let's talk EVs for Subaru. So in 2025, they'll have the production capacity to build at their Yajima plant in Japan, at the Gunma area. So they'll be able to produce 200,000 EVs per year from the 2025 Yajima plant. And then they'll be using Toyota batteries, probably from Prime Planet Energy and Solutions, which is a joint venture with Panasonic. Mazda's kind of doing the same thing, right? So in 2026, uptick in EVs, and finally we'll be seeing the first new EVs from Subaru that are not an exact rebadge of a Toyota. Supposedly we'll have 3 new EVs in 2026, but they'll be using Toyota batteries. Don't be surprised, like Mazda, they could be using Toyota software to run their vehicles, and don't be surprised if they're using Toyota's inverters and motors as well. It would only make sense to me. So 3 new EVs in 2026. In 2027, it just ramps up. The Oizumi plant, also in Gunma, I believe, will be producing an additional 200,000 BEVs. So you have a total of 400,000 BEVs by 2027-2028 timeframe. We'll also be getting updated refreshes of the Forester and Ascent by 2027. But the big takeaway is Subaru finally going out on their own in 2026, producing their new EVs. But really, I think what most of us want from Subaru is greater availability of hybrids in their lineup. That's one of the big things that holds them back, in my opinion, from being just an amazing, affordable, dependable, and awesome all-wheel drive machine for the masses. Subaru does that really, really well. We just need that miles per gallon and electrified powertrain as a hybrid from the Toyota camp, and I think Subaru will be raking in the sales, raking in a lot of demand for those Subaru hybrids. But what are you most excited for? I'll see you in the comments below. Before editing, I've been talking for about an hour and a half at this point, talking about all the new cars coming out for the Japanese automakers. Now, I will come out with individual videos for each manufacturer, but it is just going to be me breaking up this video so you can digest it. If you just want to listen to Mazda, for example, I have a dedicated Mazda 2024 and beyond video, but I like doing every Japanese manufacturer because it is a tradition at this point at the end of the year to come out this mega video mentioning all the manufacturers and it's going to take me probably even longer to edit than it did to record this and prepare for this video. So let me know which Japanese manufacturers are you most excited for, which individual models. I will see you in the comments below. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much. I'm wishing you a great 2024. Make sure you subscribe, like I said, because you don't want to miss all these updates coming for these Japanese manufacturers starting in January 2024 and beyond. Catch you in the next one. Maybe I'll see you next year in the 5th running video of every new Japanese car coming in the new year. Have a great one. Happy New Year and peace.